The search is on for a new Postmaster General to head up our troubled system. The Postal Service is losing billions of dollars, and some have suggested selling parts of it to the private sector. Joce Sterman follows the money with Tom Schatz, head of the watchdog Citizens Against Government Waste.
The U.S. Postal Service dates back to 1775, authorized by the Constitution in the same clause that created our Army. Benjamin Franklin was the first Postmaster General. The Pony Express started in 1860. Free rural delivery began just before 1900, though the formal name United States Postal Service wasn't adopted until 1971. For many, the sight of a post office is nostalgic.
Everybody wants the post office in their little town, but the post office used to be a gathering place. It used to be somewhere where people would go to get the mail, they would talk to their neighbors, it was very social. That doesn't really exist anymore.
Today, the postal agency is in serious financial trouble. It's structured differently than other federal agencies. It doesn't take our tax dollars. Instead, it's been forced to rely on its own sales revenue to stay afloat. And for over a decade, that hasn't been working.
Pardon the pun on this, but we know the Postal Service is pretty much failing to deliver. How bad are the losses for this agency?
Since 2007, every single quarter since then, the Postal Service has lost money.
The Government Accountability Office estimates the USPS has lost nearly $70 billion in the last 11 years. Part of the reason, we're modernizing the way we keep in touch. We can communicate through email and ship items from Amazon or through any number of specialized services. In 2018, the amount of mail was down by more than 3 billion pieces, but the post office hasn't adapted by downsizing.
There were too many post offices, too many employees. As the losses have increased, they have not reduced proportionately the number of employees, as again a normal organization would.
In 2018, the White House called for a task force to evaluate the Postal Service, which floated the idea of using partners in the private sector. The Postal Service is fully privatized in countries like Germany, the United Kingdom, and the Netherlands.
In other countries, they have shifted to the private sector for their postal service activities, and certainly that should happen and could happen in the United States. It's unlikely it will go that far, but there are a lot of private sector opportunities for postal services that should be done and could be done, and that's a step in the right direction.
Heard how the government wants to sell off the U.S. Postal Service?
It's been met with opposition from workers and labor unions who launched an organization called U.S. Mail Not for Sale, saying privatizing the service would disrupt affordable delivery and hurt rural America, including elderly people who depend on mail for prescriptions. Right now, as the Postal Service searches for a new Postmaster General, the future of one of our oldest agencies remains in question.
And I was surprised in talking with you earlier about the popularity of the Postal Service.
There was actually a poll done in 2018. They measured Americans' response. They found out the Postal Service is actually the most popular agency. It beat out even NASA and the Park Service.
Okay. Thanks, Joce.